New details tonight about the world wrestling star known as the Canadian Crippler, now believed to have strangled his wife and suffocated his 7-year-old son in their home. The authorities now saying that Chris Benoit killed himself after killing them over 2 days. We're going to check in with one of Benoit's fellow wrestlers and friends, retired WWE wrestler Bret Hart, in just a minute. But first, the details are disturbing and gruesome. The authorities now believe that Benoit strangled his wife Nancy on Friday, and then the next day on Saturday killed his 7-year-old son Daniel before hanging himself hours later in the weight room of his Atlanta metro area home.
There was a Bible placed beside the body of each of the victims. The wife was bound on her feet and I think also on her wrists. There was some blood under her head. I don't have any idea at all about a motive.
Authorities say they also found anabolic steroids and prescription drugs in Benoit's home. They don't yet know whether they were a factor. Court records show that Benoit and his wife had a turbulent marriage. She'd filed for divorce in the past, alleging domestic abuse. Retired WWE wrestler Bret Hart knew Benoit for 20 years. He joins us now from Calgary, Canada, for his first interview about Benoit on American TV. Thanks a lot for joining us. We do appreciate you taking the time. Let me ask you this.
Thank you.
Did you ever see a violent side to him in his personal life?
No, I always knew Chris was a very easygoing, cheerful kind of guy. I don't remember one time ever seeing him lose his temper or lose his composure in any way at all.
When you heard about the authorities coming forward and saying they believed it was a murder-suicide, I assume that was a pretty stunning moment for you.
You know, and I just kept trying to tell myself there was some other reason for it. And I think, like a lot of people that knew him and a lot of the wrestlers, I think everyone that's sort of coming to terms with this right now, I think everyone was hoping there was some other, that there was a better explanation than this, you know. But I think it's going to be a long time before anybody gets over this in the wrestling business.
You knew both him and his wife. You knew him better than his wife. Is it true he met her initially in what was a stunt with another wrestler?
You know what? I don't know anything about it. I just remember, I just knew her when. Unfortunately, most of the times I met Chris's wife, it was at funerals, and you know, everything I knew about her was that she was a very nice person and that they got along great. I don't remember Chris ever confiding in me any kind of marital problems, and I never had any idea that things were anything but rosy there. I always thought he was a good family man and a good husband, and I never knew any different. And whatever problems have been building between him and his wife over the years, and even how they met, I wouldn't know. You say you met him at funerals. You know, we've got some statistics which are pretty amazing, sort of sad and amazing, about the number of wrestlers who have died, even in just, let's say, the last 10 years. Were you at the funeral of wrestlers at the time? I would say it's fair to say there's been far too many funerals in wrestling. I can't explain. There are a lot of them from so many different reasons. There's a tremendous amount of pressure put on wrestlers to perform every night and work a hard schedule. And over the years, there's been a lot of wrestlers have involved themselves with steroids and painkillers and things like that. But it's my understanding that a lot of that has been remedied over the last few years, and I'm hoping that steroids aren't tied in with this as any kind of. I don't want to see this pinned on steroids. I think that there's a deeper. It goes beyond that at this point.
Is this going to bring wrestling down?
But, who's to say?
Is this going to be a sort of a POC that wrestling won't be able to overcome?
Well, no, wrestling seems to always keep going. There's a unbelievable following of people that love their wrestling, and there's no reason for this to ruin that for everybody. But I do think that the people in the industry, the wrestlers, even Vince McMahon, the WWE, I think even in every organization that's involved with wrestling, Chris Benoit was somebody that everybody loved him, everybody respected him, and that's why this is so hard to accept and to take, is because everybody's everybody's so sorry because we all loved him. This was a great man that we all would have, if this man needed help, I can't think of any wrestlers that wouldn't have come to the aid of Chris Benoit and try to support him and help him through whatever he was carrying around. And I think everybody's going to be brokenhearted over this one for a long time. I think wrestlers are reeling from the deaths of so many of their peers and friends. Sensational Sherry died just a few weeks ago. Bam Bam Bigelow died a few months back. These guys all died because they had nothing left. They were depressed and brokenhearted, and I think depression is a big problem that wrestlers are dealing with on a day-to-day basis right now, and this is only going to magnify.
Well, let me ask you about that. I mean, you said that he was the kind of guy anyone would go do anything for. Did people just misread him? I mean, or could it have been steroids or some other kind of drugs?
You have to leave that up to the forensic experts who will tell you what was in his body. And it's my understanding that WWE had a really strong drug testing policy in place since Eddie Guerrero died a few years ago, and they've been sort of stamped out steroids and have been really making an effort to have there's no happy medium there. It's no steroids, period. And I'm hoping that you'll find that Chris Benoit, that this isn't so much tied in connected to steroids. But I do think that it's possible that steroids are a factor. I think you just have to look at the facts as they come in.
Bret Hart, thanks a lot for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.